Aloha Ventura. Welcome to Fun with HR, the show where we talk about you and sprinkle in some human resources.
Hello, Rosandra, or should I say aloha, Rosandra?
Well, just this once, let's say aloha.
Aloha, Rosandra. How you doing today?
Very good. Very good.
We just got back from a week in Hawaii, and when we got back, we walk into that Ventura County Public Health has extended the indoor mask mandate for Ventura County until at least October 19th. So for all you employers out there and for everybody out there, we need to continue to wear our masks while we're indoors at all times, regardless of your vaccination status.
Which is very interesting because the entire time we were in Hawaii, all we heard was COVID this, COVID that. And as a matter of fact, we even were there and we got to give 2 talks about COVID.
You did. You got to give 2 presentations about COVID. And I got to say that they're pretty COVID aware over in Hawaii. I felt pretty comfortable.
Yeah, me too. One of the things that I have to really emphasize is the fact that they were already requiring a COVID card, meaning vaccination card, in order to get into anything. And the governor even came on the news and said, if you're not vaccinated, there really isn't anything for you to do in Hawaii.
Yeah, he did say that, and I was kind of impressed, actually. And it was kind of reassuring. But, Hawaii, like everybody, is suffering from this. Hopefully, we all start to go on the downside of this pandemic and we get things under control. Anything happening in human resources that we need to speak about this week?
Well, it's interesting because, of course, everything that came up happened to be Hawaiian-based. And while we were in Hawaii, it just so happened that the big story there was that the commander at the Honolulu Police Department had been charged with retaliation, sexual harassment, and creating a hostile work environment.
Well, he got all the big 3.
All 3. And what was interesting to me is naturally that, even in paradise, you need to be compliant.
You do. And it just goes to show that even a commander in the Honolulu Police Department could be charged with these offenses.
Right. So if you haven't got your training, if you haven't done anything that kind of gives your employees the heads up as to what's acceptable behavior and not, make sure that you do. You definitely want to make sure that you don't find yourself on the other side of this.
Definitely. We have a great show today, not to change gears, but we do have a great show today. We're going to hear from Kevin Brannon with Real Anglers Outdoors to speak about his program. We're going to have Patty Braga in studio today to speak about Ventura County Leadership Academy. But we're going to start our show today with Dave Hooper with Build a Better Website. And I am super excited to have Dave on because Dave has a story to tell. You say, we have a web designer on, and people go, oh, snore. It's like a web designer. But Dave is much more than a web designer. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing this morning?
Doing all right. Coffee's kicked in.
Oh, excellent. Important to get that caffeine going. Why don't we start up by having you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, yes, I am a web designer. I've done a few things in my life. I started my career in music, but currently I run a digital agency, and we build websites for small businesses.
Build websites for small businesses, but you kind of skipped over something that I want to dig into a little bit.
Uh-oh.
And that Dave is quite a musician. He's a percussionist, which when he kind of skipped over that he started as a musician. He's a percussionist, but I've heard some of the people that Dave has played with, and it's quite an impressive list.
Have I heard of him?
I'm sure you've heard of most of the people Dave's played with.
Give me a few.
Sheila E., Sheryl Crow, Herbie Hancock, Larry Graham.
I have heard
Neil
of them.
Diamond. I'm a big
Neil
fan.
Diamond.
Yeah. You never know who it's going to resonate with.
Oh, I always tell people you will have one of two songs playing in my car, the Copacabana or anything by Neil Diamond.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, don't tell anyone.
So, Dave, I just got to know, because growing up, I was forced to take piano lessons from like 6 to sophomore in high school. then I started getting into music, and I got in the band, and I learned to play almost all of the band instruments except for percussion. How did this music come to you? What got you into
Well, it was
music?
sort of hard to avoid. My dad is a composer and arranger, Grammy-nominated composer, and he was a jingle writer in Chicago, and wrote just about every jingle there was. And in fact, I was the voice of the Little Green Sprout in the Jolly Green Giant commercials when I was a kid.
Oh my gosh. I'm now,
Yeah.
so awestruck.
You could actually hear it on the website. I actually have been forced to put it on there. It's kind of funny. But yeah, it was kind of hard to avoid, and I grew up around it. And going to work with Dad was going to the recording studio, and he was a piano player, and so drums, I just gravitated towards it. And he and I used to jam all the time, just in our living room.
Nice.
And then he started hiring me on his projects and playing in his big band and stuff. So, it was kind of destiny in a way, almost like the family business.
So it came to you organically. I just got to tell you, and my son is going to kill me. But my son Kyle, when he was going into junior high school, I just know because when I was in band, I made a lot of great friends that are lifelong friends. And when he went to junior high, I said, I don't care what you take, you're taking band. He goes, I want to take shop. I said, no, you're taking band. And we literally sat there at the registration table for 45 minutes just staring at each other until finally he said, okay, I'll take band, but I'm going to play drums. I said, fine, I don't care what it is as long as you do music. And he actually ended up getting his bachelor's degree in music from Northridge.
Nice.
So, there is something this about music. Plus, they say all the intelligent people are in music. Because music, after all, is all math. So you learn to
It
do
is.
division and all of that
It is.
by playing music, because you have to be able to divide the count and stay on the beat, especially if you're the percussionist in the group, because you set the pace, and you can't be going faster. You can't be, you got to stay on pace. But that's really a cool story, and I just love the fact that you played for all those people. I wish that I would have been good enough to play in some really good bands.
But, technically with, 6 degrees of separation, 7 with Kevin Bacon, we're basically, you're there.
Yeah, we're 2 degrees.
Yeah,
so.
you were there. You
I
just
have
don't know it.
Hey, Dave, can you hook me up with Carlos Santana? Or
Yeah. I'll get you the backstage pass.
Hey, there you go. Okay, you're on. But, okay, so you were in music, but then what got you started in high tech?
Well, so when you're on tour and you're the drummer, you can't really play the drums on the tour bus. And I just sort of gravitated towards websites, and I was looking at them and trying to reverse engineer them and try to figure out how do they do that. And my younger brother does visual effects for movies, so he was the nerd, the tech nerd, the computer nerd in the family. So I kind of had both going, and so I just sort of I went in, and I'm old enough to where there weren't really college courses in web design. It was, you kind of had to figure it out, and so I did, and I really took to it, and then I got a chance to do it at Microsoft for a few years, and then more recently at Facebook, those were great experiences working in the big companies on enterprise level projects, but that also has its downfall. And plus, being musician, sort of music minded, it was an interesting experience going through the systems in those big companies. Really good stuff, really smart people. The HR departments were really awesome, and I found that whole thing fascinating. It was really neat to see the corporate world having come out of what is very casual music business. They run very casually, and it's much more structured.
Go ahead.
They
you could say
do.
it. You were shocked.
I was sort of bouncing off the walls in there. They sort of predicted it.
Yeah.
They said, Dave, you're not going to like all this process. It seemed inefficient to me, to have to go through, let's do a study in this and map it out. And I'm
Let's
like, I
have
could
a
have had it
committee.
done by now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was really, really good. And then, then I kind of had my fill of it. And I didn't renew my contract, started this digital agency, and then COVID hit, which was really interesting. Really sort of odd timing.
Oh, we hear that story a lot, though,
Yes.
right now, is that if anything's going to come out of COVID, it's going to be a lot of very successful small business owners.
Absolutely.
I agree. I was surprised that so many businesses, especially small business, needed to do business online like they had never done before, because there was no other choice. So it was oddly good timing, I guess, to start it. But I was really happy to help. Actually, it was far more rewarding to me to help small business, because big business is sort of impersonal. It was kind of nice to line Mark Zuckerberg's pockets in a way, but not personally. I felt like it wasn't.
Well, you get to see how it affects your whole community, whereas it's not just one person; it's your whole community. And I mean, I have to tell you, our website is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
One of the things that I was a little embarrassed to even show you what we had before, but another lifetime, another website. Just in essence, it was like years ago. And I think the first thing you said was, wow. And it wasn't a good wow. It was one of those like, oh my God, you need help.
Dave has that old website archived, and whenever he does a presentation, he goes,
Of course.
before,
You guys are the before and after.
after.
Wait. No, I agree. I mean, it's like night and day. It's absolutely like night and day. I love how you integrated social media into it, so I don't have to even think about it. It's already there. I love how easy it was to work with you. Thank you for finally getting the colors that I wanted there. And I have to tell you, it has been nothing but a pleasure working with you. It's been so easy. You are like the easiest referral I give.
Oh, thank you so much. I would say the same. You guys are the epitome of why I wanted to do this, because there's direct feedback and there's connection. You're invested in your business, and it matters to you, and you can see the return directly. And maybe that's the connection to music, because when you're on stage and people are dancing or whatever, you get that, visceral. Yeah. You get a feedback. And
okay,
it's
I'm just gonna say I've never been to a concert where that's actually happened. I don't think the only concerts I've ever been to is the Ventura County Fair. I've never actually been to a concert.
Oh.
I know. This is going to change eventually sometime in my life, but I can't figure out what artists to go to.
Yeah.
So I just don't go. So I want to figure out what that feeling is.
Okay.
Because I think what it is exactly what you're talking about. It's knowing that you're connected, knowing you're sharing the same space and time, and that you're working towards the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. That's the reward. For sure. I mean, we all want to make money, I guess. That's a natural thing. But if you can find something you're passionate about and you really care about.
Well, just look at how many people in your community, though. Our community, you've touched in just such a little time. That to me, I look at a website now and I either say, oh, this is a blah blah blah, or this is Dave.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy to be doing it here, and it's nice to have kept small business afloat. I feel like it's underserved. I'm a small business myself. I went through a lot of challenges, a lot of expenses, a lot of things, and so I kind of designed the company in a way that I would want to do it. It's
And that's one of the things we wanted to know, because you said you started your company just before COVID hit. Mm-hmm. So what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, I noticed that a lot of the services that I needed were priced for bigger business, and it was tough to find something that would scale and grow with me. And oftentimes, small business has to make this big investment up front and cross their fingers and hope the business will go well so that they can recoup, right, get their ROI. And so that was a challenge. So I went through it personally, and I noticed as I talked to small business, websites can be expensive, and I decided, well, why not spread the cost out, and build it, and kind of I'll pay it forward, and I'll wait for my ROI, and I'll go on this journey with you. But you guys can get up and running, start making business, so that your success becomes my success, and then we keep going on the journey. That's kind of how I would want it, and I kind of approach all of it in that way. And I got to say, it really does work. It's helpful.
I got to say, from a small business perspective, you hit that nail right on the head, because as Rosandra said earlier, websites cost thousands of dollars, and I totally understand why, because growing up, I was like you, Dave. My first computer was an Apple II, and I remember sitting there. You had to learn DOS just to get the darn thing to run, and then you had 180K of disk space, and then you were out. So,
Yeah.
but a lot of small businesses just don't have that kind of capital to invest, which is why a lot of small businesses' websites look like a small business website. And your plan where you come and you go, we're going to spread this out, and it's going to be this amount for however long it's going to be, just makes it so affordable for the small business to get.
Well, it's hard to say no at that point.
It is hard to say no.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
and
we couldn't say no.
Well, the other thing, though, is it wasn't just the cost, it was the trust. The trust has to be there.
Yeah.
You have to be able to trust the person and know that they understand your mission, just like we talked about. It's a matter of, it's definitely, it's a partnership without it being a real partnership.
Yeah.
And what's worse is I've seen some websites where people kind of go, gosh, I've seen that. Is it a template? And yeah, it could be. And there's nothing wrong with using templates. That's what they're there for. But at the same time, I think that for a small business, when you are competing against, the big guys, the 800-pound gorillas,
Yeah.
you want something that's going to be a little bit more personable. And that's what you're offering.
Yeah.
And you're offering it just based on the fact that you have to get to know the people in order for you to actually do their website.
Yeah.
So I think that even if you think it's cookie cutter or what have you, it doesn't come across as anything like that. It comes across as something very much customized, affordable, personalized, and I think that it's easy to just call you. I love it that when things go wrong, and of course it's nothing that you've done, but just technology. I mean, you still want to hit it with the stick.
Yeah.
It could be the fastest, most beautiful phone, and at the end of the day, you want to hit it with the stick.
Yeah.
And it's easy to call you and you fix things. You're quick. You're honest when you say, hey, this is going to take me an hour,
Yeah.
or this is just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think that we haven't come across often enough to kind of say, this is our go-to guy.
Wow. Thank
So
you.
you hit
Very nice.
the nail on the head by saying Dave's easy to contact. So Dave, why don't you tell our listening audience how to get in touch with you?
So the best way is through the website. The company name is Build a Better Website. The domain name is buildabetterweb.site. And all the information is there. You can see what we do, examples of our work, really easy way to contact me. I like to start off all potential projects with a Zoom meeting so we can chat about what you need. And I try to make it easy. I certainly can speak very techie, but I know that puts people to sleep. So happy to...
That's okay. We do the same thing.
Yeah,
with
we
HR.
do the same
Don't worry.
thing. So Dave, it was great having you on today, and we look forward to making many more referrals for you.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure, you guys. Thank you for inviting me.
Fun with HR is brought to you by the HR Firm. You could reach them at 805-835-FIRM. That's 805-835-3476, because if you have employees, you have issues.
Every business owner knows employees can be your biggest asset and your biggest liability. That's why you need to know for sure that your company is compliant with today's ever-changing laws. The HR Firm is the premier human resource consulting firm in Ventura County, specializing in working with small to mid-sized companies. The HR Firm provides everything you need to keep your company compliant, from handbooks to policies and procedures to workers' compensation claim management. We've got you covered. They offer a complimentary 1-hour consultation for new clients. As your local HR consultant, they're just a phone call away. For more information, contact them at info@thehrfirm.com or at 805-835-3476. Because if you have employees, you have issues. Hey employers, are you tired of spending your valuable time posting jobs on the job boards? Are you tired of looking through resumes to find that one diamond in the rough? Your time is way too valuable, so let the professionals at Atharva Workforce find that diamond in the rough for you. Spend more time on your business and less time looking for those employees. Call Atharva Workforce at 805-826-0033.
Welcome back to Fun with HR. Last week's question of the week was, what's your favorite donut shop? And we got a little bit of traction on this one. And Patty Braga's over here just going, ooh, donuts. But the results of our random survey was 50% of the respondents love the rolling pin. And I got to tell you, the cronuts over there, oh yeah. If you haven't had a cronut at the rolling pin, you need to go. And then we had a three-way tie for second. At 16% was Masters, and then Missy's. And then somebody responded, the donut shop next to the inside track at the Vaughn Shopping Center in Seward. Can't imagine who that would be, but if you want to know who it is, go look it up on the Fun with HR Facebook page. This week our question is, what is your favorite brewery? And we expect to get a lot of answers on that one because there are a lot of really good breweries in Ventura County.
So I want you all to know that when it comes to breweries, I want to know not only what you're drinking, what you're eating there, why you go there. And the reason is because we want to know what atmosphere we're all looking for. What exactly is it? And again, I know, we're in the middle of COVID, so, let's just remember all that. And even if we're just remembering what our favorite brewery is, because we haven't been there in quite some time, let's just give them some love.
Let's do that because we do have our favorites. But our next guest today is Patty Braga. Patty Braga is Executive Director with Ventura County Leadership Academy. And Ventura County Leadership Academy is something that we all probably have heard about, but we don't quite know what the heck that is. So we have Patty in here today to tell us all about that. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're happy to have you, and it's so good to see you this morning. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
COVID really impacted our social lives.
It has.
I miss hanging out.
So why don't we tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I was born and raised in Ventura. I left a little bit to go to college in San Diego, and then I came back because I don't know if you're aware, but we live in Paradise. And I didn't want to leave that. So I came back to Paradise, beautiful Ventura County, and I got a job at Ventura County Credit Union. I had been in banking previously. So I came there and loved it. I'm very passionate about education. I'm very passionate about, people get very nervous about finances and money. And so I was hired as the community development officer to kind of break down some of those barriers that people have regarding their money and how to manage it well.
And I know your passion has always been education, because I know it makes you crazy knowing how many people out there are just not financially savvy enough to set up a program that's going to take care of themselves.
Yeah, people get very nervous about certain topics, as we all know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure we all have our own that we, don't want to talk about. But one of the standing issues that most of us have is we don't want to talk about money. We're either embarrassed, we're insecure, we don't think we have enough, we think we have too much, we are worried about the way we spend it. And so really learning to just talk about it and, laying it out on the table and figuring out where you want to be in the future.
So how long were you in banking?
Well, in San Diego, I was there for about 5 years. And then when I came back home here to Ventura County, I was with the credit union, I want to say about 15 to 20, a little over that maybe.
Okay, because I was going to say, as long as I've known you, you've always been in banking. So I got to say, it came as a shock to me when I heard you took the job with Ventura County Leadership Academy. And that had to be quite... The thoughts that had to be going through your mind to make this decision had to be just amazing.
It was a transition for sure.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that transition?
Yeah, so one of the great things about being in banking was I was able to serve on a few boards. The YMCA of Ventura here was one of them. I served on a chamber board and a few others, and I really learned to love the heart of not-for-profits. And I've always obviously had a heart for my community, but being on a board allowed me to really dig deeper and do more, and I really enjoyed that. VCLA really tugged at my heart a lot, and the reason why is because our mission and purpose is to connect people and issues to strengthen our county, and what could be better than that right now? Breaking down those silos, getting people to come together to the table and talk, and even though you have different opinions, you know, you respect the person across the other side of the table from you, and you communicate with them. And so when I saw that happening with VCLA, I knew I had to jump in.
And you're a VCLA graduate, right?
I am. I'm cohort 17.
Wow.
So it's the 17th year, and we actually just had our 27th cohort start yesterday. It's wonderful.
That's great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what the program is? What does, if you enrolled in VCLA, what would you get out of that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because a lot of people hear the name Leadership Academy and they think it's a school, and it's really not, although there is a big education component to it. What we do is we take people on a journey from September to May. We meet with them once a month, and I have no other better way to say this, but we fire hose them with information on subjects that impact Ventura County. So, for example, in November, we will be meeting with Bruce Stinsley, who is with the Economic Development Collaborative, so that we can get a baseline of the economy. We'll also be meeting with Matthew Feenip, an economic forecaster. He works out of Kalu. They'll be setting kind of the foundation of where economically Ventura County is. Then we'll be touring the Gold Coast Transit News Station out in Oxnard and learning about why we can't get a bus from Oxnard to Camarillo or from Camarillo to Moore Park, and how all that works together. So it's really, an information dump. I hate to say it like that, but, on this one day. And in with that information dump, we give people opportunities to build relationships. Again, part of VCLA is the diversity of the program. So we are very specific in how we put our cohorts together of 35 people. We get education, not-for-profit, business sector, and the public sector. We get East County, West County. We get emerging leaders and existing leaders. We get people from all plethoras of backgrounds, and we put them in a room together and build relationships so that in the end, if a crisis happens, like COVID did, we can all try to come together and solve that problem.
So it's possible, say I'm a financial planner and I apply to go to VCLA. It's possible I could be rejected that year because there's too many financial planners in the program.
That's a really good program. We actually had 57 people apply last year.
Uh-huh.
I had to make phone calls to, some incredible people, 20 people who just interviewed well. I couldn't take them because, again, we're looking really for that diversity of group, which is, we try to balance it out, but it's tough. Yes, absolutely. You could be denied, unfortunately.
So are they encouraged to apply again next year?
That's a very good question, and yes, they are. I always tell the people that are just, it's just so hard saying no to them, but you have to. I can't have a group of 57. Please, 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 I say, please apply next year, and the likelihood that you'll get in is much stronger. It shows a dedication to our community. It shows a dedication to the program. If you're applying twice, you really want to do this, and so that's very well thought on.
So as I understand it, when you're in a cohort, you're committing to one full day a month to VCLA where you're getting your education.
Yeah, and that's a good question. It is one full day, usually on a Friday, once a month. And a lot of people say, what's the commitment? And I tell them, well, that's exactly what the commitment is. But part of the program is soaking it up and hanging out with the other cohorts and getting together for happy hour and volunteering together and setting up coffees one-on-one. So really, what you put in is what you get out.
So
Okay.
I'm going to now confess something. I don't know why I'm getting these emails, but I've been getting these emails and I've been seeing exactly how much fun people have. And I've seen, I'm totally honest, I've never been part of VCLA. I haven't applied anything of that nature, but I'm on somebody's list and I love it. So don't take me off.
I won't.
But I love seeing how much fun it is. It's not work. Like every time I see it, it's like, it's fun.
So can I interject really
Yeah.
quickly? We had our first session yesterday, and it's orientation. So it's really ground setting. We don't cover a lot of topics, but it's really opportunities for them to get to know one another. Part of that is facilitating a drum circle, which makes some people uncomfortable, but is always so much fun. We do a lot of like ice-breaking exercises. The laughter, I always kind of judge a session by, are they talking and are they laughing together? The laughter of this group, like every time they were together, just was wonderful. They have fun. We have so much fun.
So the spirit of your founder is there.
Oh, yes, Dr. P.
I knew Dr. P. I have to tell you, I met her when she was a trustee for Cal Lutheran, and I happened to work at the president's office there. So I got to meet her long before I saw the work that she was doing, and blew me out of the water even then. She's amazing, amazing woman. Absolutely.
She was my mentor and a dear friend. I was very lucky to have her in my life. It was a sad day when she passed away about 3 years ago. She actually said that to me. She goes, how did the first session go, or how did this go? Because a lot of times as a board member, I'd attend the sessions, and she goes, but were they laughing? And I was like, oh yeah, this. And she goes, that's the tell. So I stole
Right.
that from her. She's a brilliant, kind, wonderful, gracious, giving woman, and I'm glad you were able to know her also.
As a very young woman, it was amazing to see somebody like her in her capacity, because she was mentoring even long before she realized she was doing that.
Oh yeah.
But to know that that was attainable, and to know that that was in my own backyard, I tell you, I've been amazed, and I love seeing what she developed and everything that's come of it.
I often reflect back to her. She's quite a woman.
Absolutely. So tell me, Patty, who do you hang out with?
You know,
Wow.
so it's funny that you say that. I tend to post on Facebook and when I'm thinking about it, because of my job, I really get to hang out with the coolest people.
And that's what I wanted to hear.
She's not hanging out with us right
No,
now.
no,
though,
no.
So
there
not all the
you go.
coolest people.
Oh.
There you go. Well,
Well, the coolest people in Ventura.
it's really, I hate, it sounds very cliche, but really the breadth and the depth of people, from the, diverse backgrounds to what they know. Oh man, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky.
Again, those emails, I love it. Normally, when somebody sends you something like that, you kind of go, well, do I open it? Do I not? I see it and I'm like, I'm opening that one before everything else, because I want to know what's going on. I want to know where you've been, and I want to know who's been there. Just because I want to know who you think is upcoming leaders, current leaders. I want to be in the know.
Well, you should apply for the
Yeah, I
program.
was going to say.
I kind of think you are a community leader already.
Oh,
You
I
could
know.
probably teach a little. You could probably learn a little.
I never think of myself as a leader. I do my thing. I just do my thing. It's HR. Nobody wants to talk about HR. It's like finances. People go, "Oh, you're in HR, huh?"
Yeah.
They run and they hide.
Yeah. I now tell people I'm a flight attendant just so that they talk to me.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's okay, because once they get to know me, they're like, "There's no way you're a flight attendant."
No.
There's no.
You wouldn't put up with a lot of the stuff that flight attendants
Well, that's
are
exactly
having to
it.
put up with right
As
now.
soon as I say, that's not compliant, they're like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you're
okay,
not.
yeah.
No, you're not it."
So, Patty, why don't you tell everybody how to get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me is to go to our website. It's vcleadership.org. You can also follow us on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. Again, as Rosander said, it's a lot of fun. So it's kind of neat to see the pictures and everyone kind of bonding and enjoying themselves. So that's probably the best way, but the website's the best. And my phone number's there if anybody wants to reach out to me specifically.
Awesome. It was great having you on. We love VCLA, and we love you, Patty.
Thank you so much, guys.
We look forward to speaking to you soon and hanging out once we can.
Hanging out at a brewery, which I'm going to start to think about now.
Let us know. Fun with HR is brought to you by Atharva Workforce. You can reach them at 805-826-0033. If you think hiring an amateur is expensive, okay, I blew that one.
Yes, you did.
If you think hiring a professional is expensive, wait till you hire an amateur. Thank you. We'll be right back.
If you have employees, then it is your responsibility to keep them safe. That means written rules and procedures and processes all in place. If you don't have an illness and injury prevention program, a COVID prevention program, safety program, or emergency action plan, you could have Cal OSHA knocking on your door with a notice of violation and fines in hand. But don't worry, you're not on your own. The HR firm can walk you through the safety maze to get your company compliant, all while helping you keep your employees safe. And remember, these need to be written and distributed to employees. They offer a complimentary 1-hour consultation for new clients. As your local HR consultant, they're just a phone call away. For more information, contact them at info@thehrfirm.com or at 805-835-3476. The HR Firm, because if you have employees, you have issues. Finding people to add to your team can be difficult when you don't know where to start. Do you even have a job description? Do you know how much you should be paying them? Do you even know where to find the right people for your team? Let the professionals at Atharva Workforce help you get started and find your next star employee. Spend time on your business, not searching for that new star employee. Call Atharva Workforce at 805-826-0033.
Welcome back. That song is just so appropriate for who we have coming on next. Just a tease. Atharva Workforce is currently looking for delivery drivers, retail sales consultants, back office dental assistants, window technicians, and bookkeepers. If that's you, email them your resume at info@atharva.solutions.
So you mentioned that the song was so appropriate for who we had on next. And just so you're all wondering who it is, it's Kevin Brannon with Real Guppy Outdoors. And I wanted to just tell you a little bit about why we decided to ask Kevin to join us today. First and foremost, I want you to know that, I want to share that as a nonprofit, I thought it was an amazing thing that you teach kids to fish. But it's really not about fishing. It's about life skills. It's about connecting with mentors. It's about finding a passion for just being in the moment. And absolutely high energy and so diverse to the point where, yes, there's a nonprofit, but Kevin's also a very talented photographer. As a matter of fact, 2 of his pieces hang in our office, and I love walking by because it reminds me not only of the beauty, as Patty said, we do live in paradise, but it also reminds me that we need to support some of the nonprofits that maybe aren't the bigger ones, but they're going to be making a huge impact on our kids. So welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course.
Well,
Actually, Rosandra, Kevin needs to come by the office so he could see who his pictures are hanging next to.
Absolutely.
you got the Picasso.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. Pretty close. We have 2 Kevin Brannons, which is even better.
You do?
We have 2 of yours.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about Junior because there's a Kevin Brannon Jr. Like,
Oh,
there's
no.
another one.
No. Why, is he an artist too?
No, he's more of a jock.
Then
Yeah,
what would
he's a jock.
We don't want anything he would be hanging then.
Yeah, I know.
No.
But he's been a volunteer. I was looking at some pictures, man. For 9 years, that kid's been part of this program since he was like 6 years old, and he's 15 now. So I know he's kind of getting, doing his own thing and getting up on a Sunday morning at 6 o'clock to go serve. But, that's part of the family business. But I seen a photo of him when he was like, yay big. But we would use the kids and our kids kind of like the dog whisperer uses other dogs to make them feel comfortable.
Right.
We wanted to have the kids that were helping my kids, my cousins' kids. It was a family business, and I always joke about they worked for Hugs, so it kept the cost down, right? But
did
they
it
would
really?
come out and serve. Oh yeah, for sure. Now it costs like Pizza Man Dan or something afterwards. It costs lunch, but that's not bad. Got to take care of your volunteers for sure, right? But yeah, I just seen that was a way like an icebreaker that she was talking about. So the reason the way you explained how I serve is because I was on VCLA and I learned those same things that Patty was talking about. I got to give a shout out to Dos Equis, best cohort ever. We always have to compete, but those are the things that I learned through the Leadership Academy that we needed, and I kind of incorporated that into to our program, mentorships. Like you talked about Priscilla, she was my mom's mentor at Oxnard College. So, there's a lot of, and living in Paradise and exposing these kids to Paradise and their family, like they live within a certain region and then realize that Channel Islands National Park is like in their backyard, what the whale migrations that happen that you see on National Geographic, it's in our backyard. So I'm able to show them this and then educate them and then also teach them about problem solving and things that come with fishing and life lessons. So I air quotes, I get them hooked, lure them in and get them hooked and then start that process.
Well, we were just on Maui, and one of the things that they're known for is the whale migration. And so we were sitting there hearing somebody explain, and it was amazing that as soon as they figured out where we were from, they're like, oh, but you get to see the whales all the time. Yeah. And we kind of looked at them like, what do you mean? They're like, the Channel Islands. So exactly what you just said. People know about it, but because it's in our backyard, we kind of go, it's just the Channel Islands, but they're very important.
Yeah. And I think it's got to do with culture, as we're finding out, certain cultures that some of the grants we got is to open that up to different ethnicities, because some people see the ocean, they could be afraid of it. You go on a boat, like they get kind of scared. Remember my ex, her mom would pray for me because they don't get on the ocean. Like, you guys got to get on these boats and go out there to the ocean. Or some people, they can't swim, so they find other things to do. So the ocean, to some people, even going on the pier, some kids walking up the pier get scared.
It's scary.
So we break that stuff down and have other ways to get them started. Whether it's a lake or the shore or something else. But I think there's some cultural aspects that go with it. Even the industry itself of fishing uses us to get the diversity. Since we bring so much diversity, which Ventura County has a lot of, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's a fishing program that started for kids, but as big as it's gone through education, we're in the school system now, showing diversity, female anglers. There's a lot that goes into it. I hear a lot of stories about maybe the mom used to fish with her dad, but her husband doesn't. And they want to get this tradition started again, so that nostalgia come back of fishing. So there's so many ways that we're incorporating that with the Guppy program.
Well, and the other thing that I like about what you do is you not only teach them how to fish, but then the miracle of clicking and having them understand that they could actually eat something that they're catching themselves, and how you prepare that. So the list of lessons doesn't end at the fishing. It actually goes well beyond that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you get the call them the wow moments, or the stories, a testimonial of, I think we have the hunter-gatherer, right, that you want to go out and provide.
Sure.
And some of the, even, because we go across the spectrum, right? We have kids that come in from, maybe a little bit more, they have more riches than the ones that are local, right? And some of the kids that actually get to provide food for their family that could be struggling, because we work with other organizations to partner with, like Foster VC or United Parents. So we have it from, one end to the other as far as maybe their living conditions, right? So when a kid comes home and says, or comes back and says, look, I caught these fish on a boat, I got to feed my family with them, it's pretty amazing, And one thing about that is also the education is explaining to them about regulation, about responsible angling, why you have to wait for a season or maybe a size limit, why we don't just catch and kill, that you could keep what you catch. So we're breaking that down, right? Oh, you keep the fish. Some people, you got to let everything go. No, you don't. If it's of legal size and it's in season and the kid wants to take it home and process it, to harvest it, to process it, to eat it, we're going to let them. And then again, that joy that they got of providing it. So it's like,
right.
It's pretty cool.
It is, and we touched on it, but I think a big part of Kevin's program is the time when you're fishing and you're just sitting there talking.
Yeah.
I know I used to take my son fishing when he was younger, and there's just, that you don't get that time back as a parent where you're just sitting there and just talking about whatever comes to your mind. I mean, I think that is very valuable also.
Yeah, the fellowshipping, right?
Right.
So we talk about it too with when I go with my son as a jock, like I say, when I go to, or either at his game or his practice, or we go to a Dodger game or amusement park, we're not engaging, right? We're spectating, we're
Yeah.
sharing. We're not actually, spending that time fellowshipping of how things going. But and I think it's just something about nature, whether you're hiking or at the lake or on the ocean or something, that just that bonding experience. Maybe it's a spiritual thing or something that I believe it completely. It's what you talk about. So when families want to do that, so even though it's a kid fishing program, we're kind of shifting it to a family engagement as well, so that way the parents can learn how to tie a hook and they could go out and continue to do this tradition. So we used to days of we had 157 people come out, and it was like almost like public school, right? There's just too many to educate and teach. But if we have a smaller 50 in a clinic at the most, then we could teach them how to fish together, and then they get that experience as opposed to just sitting back and watching. They get to engage in the program and learn, about the ecosystem, pulling up the crab net, and then, then they could talk about that on the way home and then want to come back. So by introducing the parents along with the kids in that time you're talking about, as opposed to just handing them a rod or hooking a fish and giving it to them, no, let's slow down the process and to educate them and show them. And that's going to continue them to, keep doing this.
So you weren't always in the nonprofit. You had a day job that you did, and you don't necessarily miss now. So tell me, what led you to start this?
So I started Rural Anglers Fishing Show. I went to Oxnard College to start a fishing show. I wanted a show that was going to highlight those types of things that I'm talking about, because I worked on boats since I was about 11. It kept me out of trouble. It taught me a good work ethic. First of all, you work on a boat, doesn't matter if you're 11, boy, you got work to do. So I had some resources that I had in the fishing industry. And then me and my wife we were separating, and the kids, I got a little apartment, and the kids in our apartment would say, I wish somebody would take me fishing. They'd see me and my kids leaving with our fishing gear. So I'm like, hey, why don't you drop off? You can come to the beach. We'll provide for you, right? So then I started saying, I think we need this. I know we need it, because I was that same kid that was digging fishing string out of a trash can, finding a hook, needing somebody to help me fish. My mom really wasn't hip to it, so I would sit on the pier with a drop line and learn to fish. So it was my escape, being on the water. So I just knew that these things we needed in our backyard. Again, exposing the kids in this area, because when I would take reservations at the sport fishing, a lot of the area codes were out of town. Very few 805, 661, 818, stuff like that. So I knew that this area wasn't getting that exposure. So it just started chipping away. Let's just get out 10 kids. And then I'm like, okay, well, I have 10 rods. I can only invite 10. And then I had like 15. I'm like, let's make it a little bit bigger. And then I'd say, let's make it a little bit bigger. So then we started opening it up to the public, and then it just got huge. But we would partner with the Police Activities League and other organizations, just smaller. And then one day I just said, you know what? It seems like the Lord's always providing. Let's just open it full scale once a month. And we've never fell short of the resources that we've needed.
Beautiful. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
It was meant to be.
That's when you got to say, like, this is meant to be, and you could testify that to your team and to the kids and show them, because, telling the kids how I grew up when I'm working with them, that I'm living my dream, and I'm able to show them that. But again, there's hard work that goes with it, right? Just because the 8 balls in your blocking your shot don't mean the game is over. You can't just throw your stick down and go home. You just got to figure out a way to get around it.
You got to figure it out.
And that's kind of how fishing is, right? Because they're not biting on this bait. You might want to try this, problem solving, things like that. So I'm able to, and I got this gift of gab, so I could break it down and speak and teach. So I used to say, when I grow up, I want to be a teacher when I grow up. Well, look at it. I'm teaching,
You are.
I'm just teaching, and I got to teach my own curriculum at the same school that I used to have to go in the little side building and get a little extra teaching. Now I'm back as the teacher, and I'm developing my own material. So when you can't say that that's like a testimonial to express to anybody going against anything, and to show it, right? Like look at this, then you could really see that passion coming in,
Right. And that's exactly what, Patty was saying. It's about showing the kids. It's about keeping the focus in our own backyard, and knowing that we're a community. We're in it together.
Yeah.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, if somebody wanted to volunteer, are there certain areas specifically that you want them to volunteer in?
Well, you never turn down a good volunteer, right?
Of course not.
So we like to invite them out to check out the program. I used to let anybody in, and you start butting heads sometimes. Everybody is, a lot of people on the bus, but they're not going the same direction. So you could come in and see, you could see, I read that in a book. I love books now. I used to hate reading. But,
Now.
just making sure that we know where the vision that I have is going, right? And as we continue to grow, because like you say, we started from the ground up. We don't know nonprofit. We're learning. You guys came in and helped us at a major time of transition, right? The guy was talking about starting small businesses. Our business has grown as a business, as a nonprofit, just like a leadership academy, just like a food share. We're just at a smaller level, but we have to grow as a business, and having people around to show us that has helped. So if you want to come in and volunteer, I don't want to get off topic.
No, go for it.
Yeah, just come to one of our kid days, check it out first, and then of course you got to go through the screening process. But we do need it as we're going in different areas. Maybe you don't tie hooks. Maybe you can help us in fundraising, or maybe you could help us in organization, because I know what I know again as a leader. So when you said, I don't see myself as a leader. Some leaders don't. I just drive. You're just driven, but yet you're able to accomplish because you could figure things out with what you have, your resources. So I know where my strengths are at, but also as a leader knowing, hey, I need help here. I can't be a dictator, right? And that was one of the icebreakers that we had with the VCLA when I was there is, are you a dictating leader, or what kind of, do you facilitate? But as your baby, right, you want to hold everything and you know what to
course.
get done. But
Of
as you're
course.
growing, you have to be able to do that. So again, if you don't volunteer in a capacity of knowing anything about fishing, there could be something else you could help out with,
I
to
love
grow
it.
it. Or even as we're going with the high school kids, again, that mentorship, that graduation. I remember my first mentor got a hold of me. I was so raw, and he just kept chipping away, chip, Chuck Morgan. And then you grow like Melissa Baffa. She's another one, and she got me into VCLA, and then continuing that. So if I call it the Harriet Tubman, right? Like, I'm going back to my people in the inner city, and I'm trying to free them from whatever they might be thinking and trying to get that expansion because somebody did it to me. So
Just give
here's
them
my
possibilities.
Yeah.
Show them the possibilities.
I used to
and
think,
let
like,
them
how did I get
dream.
in this VCLA? How did I get into this meeting? I thought, because I guess I got work to do. So I got to embrace it and listen so I can give it back, But I used to think that, like, there's only one of me in here. Like, some of the topics we talk about, education, gangs, like different things that go on, right, in our area. Ventura County definitely has, you go down Victoria, you got Section 8 on one side, and you got Maynard houses right on the other. They look right at each
Absolutely.
other, right? So I'm from that side. So if I'm able to go back and showcase that to them, working in Westlake and seeing these big old houses that are just up the hill, I started, wow, look at what's outside of this area. And then I get a chance to bring that. So a combination of all of that is what I pour into this program in
So
the community. Sorry.
you mentioned that you work with Police Activities League and a couple of other organizations. Is this where your participants in your program, are they generating your participants, or are
No,
they-
so for them, we do their own day. So they get 40 kids of their own.
Okay.
And then we have an open day, fourth Sunday of every month, that we open to the public. We used to just open it, show up. But that's when it was getting too hectic, to like 100, and I think we capped out right before the pandemic in February. So the January of, what was it, 2020?
2020.
Yeah, so that one we had, January had like 134, February had 150 something,
Wow.
and then March, like, it shut down, right? Everything.
Right.
So we started back up, doing our kid days again, but we're going to keep it at a smaller capacity. So you have to sign up through Facebook Messenger, and we get you to come out. So that's to the public. But the organizations that we work with, so like we'll do 3 this month. We'll do one next week that's already full, but that's for the public, anybody. We did Open Door Studio with their special needs a group. There was like 10 of them on a Thursday. Then we did Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts last Saturday. So, and I just bring that onto my team too. Like, hey, guess who signed us up for another Kid Day team? Who's ready? But they know that they're scheduled for that one day a month that we do anyway. But those other organizations, PAL, United Parents, Foster VC, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, we have them get their own, because it's just, if they show up with 30 of them and we have 40 people, that's going to wipe out a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
So we give them their own dedicated day.
So, in addition to the Real Guppies Outdoor program, well, I guess it is the Real Guppies Outdoor program, they do more than just teach the kids to fish. Because I know today, I'm really appreciative that Kevin's here, because they're out doing a beach cleanup day today with the Clean the Oceans
Yeah.
Day,
What is it?
so-
Coastal Cleanup today.
Close-
Yeah, I'm going to head
Coastal
up over
Cleanup,
here
yeah.
and head over to hang out with Stephen Gama in Wainimi. But it's all over the state.
Yeah.
Today is the one. But they're there every Saturday. If you hear them on the KVTA news, that that Stephen's out there, and we try to encourage that stewardship part.
Yeah, so I really appreciate the fact that you came in today, because I know you were supposed to be there early,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, got to
It's still
stretch it.
early.
Yeah, I'll
Kevin
get there
made
in
it
time.
happen. No, this
Yeah.
is late
No.
for fishermen.
Well, I've never been fishing.
What? Hold on, wait a minute.
I
Excuse me.
know, I know. I've never
Excuse
been
me?
fishing.
We finally got her to swim, Kevin. So baby
yeah.
steps.
Well, see, that's the point I'm talking about, right?
just-
See, if she don't, the water probably doesn't interest her at all. If she can't even swim, she's like, nah.
I
So
just learned
she's
to
been to
swim
Hawaii like 3 other times until this time.
6 other times. Don't
6
tell 'em.
other
Wow.
times. This
Never
was the
gotten in the
first
water.
time she ever got in the ocean. So
Did you surf or snorkel or what was it?
Nothing. It just dragged my butt in and it said, here it is.
Yeah.
But the really nice thing is normally I would have been freaking out, yelling, screaming. And thanks to Amber Stevens and the YMCA, all I thought about is no worries. The worst thing that could happen is I get to swim in the ocean. So
Yeah.
I just went with it.
That's it.
And that was a huge point, a turning point for me, because I would have normally gone and not gone anywhere near the water. Can you imagine going to an island and never getting in the water?
That's kind of like a lot of kids here.
Right.
They live right at the islands and never get in.
Right. So it was great. I loved it. I've never been fishing. I have a really hard time doing nothing. So even though Jeff calls it, meditation time and what have you, I have a hard time sitting still. So if I could figure out how to just sit still, that would be awesome. So I'm going to hit you up.
Just tell her you're going to get milk, and then just come to the pier. Be like, hey, we're going to go get milk, dear.
That'd be a long milk run, but
And bring her to the pier
Yeah,
with us.
no.
we're
You
going to
should
get
come
her
check
out
it out.
there
I mean,
one
you,
day.
you help our program. Our next day is next Sunday, right? The 26th, I believe. And then the following month, October, is our big one, the Spooktacular. So you get to come out in your Halloween costumes and check it out. That's big, open to everybody. Come check it out. But as a partner of ours, you guys should just come check it out for yourself. Just listen.
We
We'll
will.
put a fishing pole in your hand, and you'll chill.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Kevin, it was awesome having you on. Why don't you tell everybody how they could get a hold of you?
So go to realguppyoutdoors.com. You can check it out there if you want to make a donation. You can check out our Facebook page, Messenger there. I get back within about a day. Also, Real Anglers Fishing Show that I host has a lot of the videos that Real Guppies has done. So we produce the media for that. You can check out the YouTube and see exactly what we do, from boat trips, pier trips, knot tying. We're creating more content, but check out Real Anglers Fishing Show for videos and Real Guppy Outdoors to catch a memory.
Awesome. Thank you for coming today, Kevin.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate this.
So here we are at the end of another hour.
Another hour
Another
gone.
hour gone.
No worries. Let's just focus on next week
Until
because we
next
have
week.
another episode.
Yes. Fun with HR was brought to you this week by the professionals at the HR firm in the Tharva Workforce. We take care of each other so we can grow together. Until next week, when we will have April Geary, Ray Gonzalez, and Angie Brinkoff on. It's going to be a great show. Thank you all. Have a great week.
Out loud,